Good day. Welcome to subramani.com. Today's topic is your housing cost hurting your retirement? And I've done a post on the subramani.com. So I encourage you to go to the blog and read it because there's a lot of numbers. I'm going to read out from there. And so be a little, when you have numbers, you're better off going to the blog and reading it rather than in the YouTube channel going back and rewinding and all that, right? So largely what happens in India, I don't know how it is abroad, that the EMI that you pay has no connection to the rent that you can pay. So if you buy a 1 crore house, I'm just assuming you don't pay any down payment, you fully borrowed, your the EMI that you pay would not be less than 1 lakh. I mean, not substantially less than 1 lakh on a 20, 25, even a 24, 25-year-old loan. So you are always pulling that, should I be staying in a rented house? Should I be paying an EMI which is so huge, and does it hurt me? Now let us take a mathematical example of what happens. Suppose you're 30 years of age and you want to buy a house, and you want to buy a whole of a house in Mumbai. Now obviously there is pressure from the family saying buy a house, and then some solid advice from brokers and builders and say you will not buy too many houses in your life, very likely that you will buy only one house, so please buy as big a house as possible. Of course none of this makes sense in Mumbai because a 72 lakh rupee house is not really a house as people think, it is just a whole of a house. So let us say you borrowed 50 lakhs out of the 72 lakhs and you have bought a house and you are 30 years of age. And you are very comfortable saying, I can pay about 42,000, 43,000 as EMI. That is the best I can do. Between me and my wife, we are earning enough that we will be able to spare about 42,000 rupees a month. So good, congratulations, you bought a house, and you thought if you take a 50 lakh rupee loan, you will be paying about 45,000, which was, well, a little stretch to 3,000, but yeah, you could afford it, not so much of a problem. So you got the papers and suddenly you realize that your EMI is 52,000 and not 45,000 because there were some additional costs. You were forced to take a term insurance, which was a bad product because it was a single premium term insurance for the next 25 years or 30 years, whatever. So, well, you did it, you just took it, and since you were only 30 years of age, you said, okay, maybe term insurance is also cheaper, but actually it's not. Never buy a single premium, but that's a different thing. So then you went to wondering, you and your spouse, both of you had to sign the papers, so you were wondering what to do. And you went to HDFC Limited from where you had taken the loan, and there was an angel sitting across the counter, and she said, sir, we can do you a favor, we can reduce the EMI to 47,616. And you couldn't believe your ears. So she said, sir, I will make your loan a 30-year loan instead of a 20-year loan. And that was nice. The amount of payment that you had to make per month was now nearer the number which you had in mind, right? You had 45,000 in mind, this was 47,000, this was not bad at all. Well, what exactly happened? Well, the 20-year loan, I'll have to read this from the text. When you had a 20-year loan, you had an EMI of 51,609, and the total interest that you would have paid over the 20-year period was about 73,86,261, about, let's say, 74 lakhs. Whereas when you change it from a 20-year loan to a 30-year loan, of course your EMI fell to 47,616, but since you were going to pay for a longer period of time, 10 years more, you were going to pay, hold your breath, 1 crore 21 lakhs 41,821. Thus the total interest that you pay was going up by 51 lakhs. These are numbers which I have taken from websites, so you can go and check. Interest rates may have changed, so the total numbers, but the impact is somewhat like this. So 50 lakhs extra. Of course, that 50 lakhs is not something which you're going to pay now, you're going to pay it over a period of 30 years. But yes, what this 50 lakhs does is it definitely harms your retirement corpus, right? I am not even getting into whether you should buy a house, what should be the size of the house, what should be the location. That you have to decide with your family, right? That's not my job. But my job is to tell you that the longer the tenor of the loan, the greater the amount of interest that you pay, and this is the impact of a 10-year shift. Now, it's possible that your wife would say, oh God, I wish there was a 40-year loan. Of course, it looks attractive like that, right? But let's realize something, that the interest that you pay is 2.5 times the amount borrowed, right? Did you arrive at that? The cost of the house at the end of 30 years is rupees 2 crores, because the interest paid is the cost, and that is one point that has to be added to your original cost of 70 lakhs, right? What if real estate does not appreciate at 11% per annum over this long period, because you're paying interest at that rate, right? You're paying interest at 8, 9%, 10%. So what happens if the real estate does not appreciate by 11%? And honestly, real estate does not appreciate by 11% in a big city like Mumbai, and no asset can appreciate at that rate over such a long period of time. So that's another problem. Of course, you may argue that housing has appreciated, but if you put it in an Excel sheet, then you realize it's much lesser than what you're saying. I'm not even saying don't borrow, and don't borrow for a long period, right? I'm saying you must borrow to buy a house, borrow by all means. If you have created a portfolio which you can sell and buy a house, great. If you have not created that portfolio, and you couldn't have created that portfolio at the age of 30, so choose your priorities, because at 30, when you buy a house which is so expensive, I'm not saying 72 lakhs is too much for a house, maybe it's not too much for a house, but then for you it is expensive because that's what you can afford. So you have stretched and bought. What happens if you get a job in Dubai, Singapore, Hong Kong, Baroda, Pune, any other place? You will have to wonder whether you will get this kind of rent. There is no way how a 70 lakh rupee house will get a 50,000 per month rent in Mumbai. It just doesn't happen, right? So be careful about what you're doing. Understand, the higher the amount of loan, the longer the tenor of the loan, more interest that you pay. That is very good for HDFC Limited, may not be very good for you. Thank you.